Welcome to the Broskiedoodles podcast. Thank you for joining us again today. Like always, we have an interesting plethora of topics to speak to you about, and have you learn a little bit along with us. We are increasing our IQ level every episode, so we hope that you're also doing that. The first thing I want to bring up, even before our guest, is the topic today. I saw the Elon Musk monologue on SNL along with one of the skits that was available for free on YouTube, and I was super amazed at how this guy was able to actually be funny within his own weird fucking ways. And I wanted to talk about this with my homies. Well, Big John is always in a building. You know the kid. He's the one that is always rocking the weirdest DJ parties in the Miami area. And we also have with you, he's he comes and goes, but whenever he comes, we try to keep him as much because his knowledge and his way of thinking is super interesting for the Broskiedoodles. We got our boy Tavo, and let's get it started. What did you guys think of the SNL monologue that Elon Musk did and was just released?
I'll start us off. I think it was, on Kiko's point, it was really good. I think he had comedic timing. He pointed out a lot of issues that he was funnier than a lot of the hosts that I've seen. I think he had it on point. And the biggest extension, if you want to see like how good he was, when they put his mom on, you can see that she didn't have the same timing that he did. And that right there kind of shows like, this guy's funny. Like, it's always easier to compare when you have a contrast, but I think he did a good job. And I want to go into a few pieces of them, but I'll give John Heido's advice here. Big J, let him give us a little bit.
Well, bro, I enjoyed it. I did feel like he had some appreciation of the timing as far as comedy is concerned, but it did seem oddly robotic. The way he delivered those jokes. Yeah, the timing was there, but there's no fluctuation of the voice. No, like it's all set in the same tone, and it seems to me like it's clearly being read. Like he already prepared all this up front, and he's just reading it in his mind the way that it should be said. Sometimes the timing is there, sometimes the timing isn't, and it's evident in the way that it came out.
I think that he, from what you're saying, he's like he read this, which I think this was material that was written for him, and it's not unusual for this to happen. But when you say like, oh, he was monotonous in his tone and all these things, he mentioned these things. So for me, this is how I felt. I felt like Eminem in 8 Mile when he's telling the people, when he's rapping the battles, he's telling them his flaws, and it almost seems like when I was like, what monologue by Elon Musk? This is really happening. When I pressed play, I really did not have an idea how he was gonna make this work without it being awkward and weird. Because whenever he's been on Rogan, he's fucking weird, right? So it seemed like he did the perfect. I don't know if this was coached, but however it happened, I think that he had a great way of embracing the shit that we already think of him as weird and fucking awkward to make it funny. So like, you remember when he was like, well, he talked about like, I'm the first person to be here with Asperger, and you're like, he's embracing the fact that he talks weird, right? That he has this awkward timing, which funny enough, he had great timing for the jokes. So I think I think he used that to his favor. The things that would go against him, he sort of used that to,
So that's good thing you brought it up there, Kiko, because that's what I wanted to go into so when he said Asperger's, I think I didn't know what Asperger's was. So I had to Google it. And as we're always teaching our fans here, we're going to give you a definition. So that way you guys know, just in case you didn't want to take the time to Google it. So on Wikipedia, so it's Asperger's syndrome, also known as Asperger's, is a neurodevelopmental disorder characterized by significant difficulties in social interaction and nonverbal communication, along with restricted and repetitive patterns of behavior and interests. So that's just a very kind of simple idea. So you're socially awkward just by being like Asperger's. Another piece that it says like it is an autism spectrum disorder. So you're on the spectrum, but it differs from the other disorders because it's relatively unimpaired language and intelligence. So like you're on the spectrum, you have it, like you're a little bit more socially awkward, but you're your language and intelligence is there, and this guy's a billionaire, so it's clearly not affecting him to that level. He's living with it, and I said, yeah, as you guys go on, I think the writers hit him really well with the correct jokes for him, whoever wrote that for him, because he said it monotonely, but it hit. Because I'm pretty sure you guys have listened to like very monotone comedians that hit
kill
because they're monotone. Like the way the joke is written is just keep it. Like stern face, joke hits.
Like if you guys remember Mitch Hedberg, he would have, I'm pretty sure you all heard him, right? Mitch Hedberg back in the day.
Yeah.
Like his jokes was monotonous, but that made it funnier because he was wackier. So yeah, sorry, go on. I didn't want you to get lost, but I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So the writers and when you know who you are as a person, you can hit jokes because comedy is more than timing. It's more than changing your monotones. So like to me, because he Asperger's, I guess he used it to his advantage to hit the points. Like we're going to go into like one of my favorite jokes on there. He hit really well to me was when he's talking about, as Kiko said, so he's smoking weed on Joe Rogan's podcast and everyone thinks that, oh, this is all Elon Musk does. He just goes on podcasts. He can come on this podcast and smoke weed. That's fine. But that's all he does. He goes on podcasts and he smokes weed. And it's like everybody's reducing to one thing. And then he goes into, it's like reducing OJ to murder. And it hit. I think the audience hit. It hit to me. He hit the next level joke.
Yo, when he said that joke, I literally laughed like as if like a badass comedian that's been doing this for 20 years was saying a joke. Like that shit killed so hard, so fucking hard. In my opinion, it's like reducing, because he only did it one time.
See, do you see? That's why to me it hit so well. It's like when you have a joke set up and he hit you with misdirection. He hit you with like, oh, it's only once, but it was great. And then he still didn't tell us what his kid's name is. Say, oh, this is my kid's name, also known as cat running across keyboard. I don't know how to pronounce his kid's name. Do you guys?
No. And I think it was actually. Do you guys find it to be heartwarming? Like he brings in his mom and yeah, I mean it I don't know. It was nice all the way through. Like that, the monologue for me, it was heartwarming. It had everything, that I don't know. It just made me happy. It was super funny. It was edgy, and it made someone that was weird embrace that weirdness and make them super funny. And whoever wrote it, I mean, I'm pretty sure that he had something to do with it. The whole combination of things, I thought was great. You mentioned, Tavo, that you sort of earlier when the mom came, you noticed how good he was on the timing because of how, or I think John said it, because how off she was on the timing, right? The mom.
Yes, you could. That was me. So
it almost felt like she's the one that had the Asperger.
Wow.
She was pretty bad on it, but it was a heartwarming moment, I think. So just going back to the Asperger thing, so pretty much it just has to do with social awkwardness.
Correct. So it's social interaction and intelligence. So you're still intelligent when you have Asperger's. You're socially awkward. For example, like if you're at a party or in a social setting, you don't really know how to behave. You're usually like by yourself in a sense. There's no like, the way to better explain it is like you've been to like an event where like you see usually this person would be by themselves in a sense, just because they're not really talking to anybody. They are not going to be the life of the party in a sense. Like they're not going to, if you've been somewhere to somebody that can work the room, if you're a host, like you go from one set of people to another set of people and like you make jokes, you make this, you do that. Like that's the type of like just social persona that you would have. But somebody that would have like this Asperger's syndrome wouldn't do that. Like it's just not something that comes natural to them. I would assume they have to work on it. Not saying it's not possible for them to get to that level.
Is that in the spectrum of autism?
It is in the spectrum. So like Asperger's syndrome is in the spectrum of the autism spectrum disorder.
Okay.
from Wikipedia. So like,
And
I
do
have
you
to
think
cite my sources
that
here.
Elon Musk? We're not bringing here motherfuckers out making up shit. You know what I mean? We already got me and BJ for that every week. When we bring experts, they're fucking experts. You know what I mean? This guy has Wikipedia on log, Yahoo Answers on log. This guy has it.
Oh.
All right? Ask Jeev. You guys remember Ask Jeev? Maybe you're too young for that shit. If you don't know who Ask Jeev is, maybe you have a TikTok account and you do little dances in the weekend. Okay, so do you think Elon Musk expressed the Asperger's symptoms, or not symptoms, but qualities, like on his monologue? Like, did that come through?
To me, I didn't think so. If he didn't say it, and the way the jokes were written, I couldn't tell. Just because I'm laughing at everything he's saying, I see the contrast between him and his mom. If he didn't go into specifically saying like, I'm gonna run my human and emulation and try to be a human here, I would say this is just a regular guy doing his bit, having a good time. I wouldn't be able to tell, and which is a good thing, I guess. In general, like if you have, like, I'm always a supporter of helping people in general, but if you have the Asperger's, like, don't feel bad at all about it. Like, you got a billionaire here who has the same. You can also be a billionaire if you have the syndrome. Like, there's no thing about it. And
give me Asperger's, maybe I'll fucking succeed at some shit.
You might. I think it's more of like, play to your strengths. So, like, and I saw that, and that's what he did in the jokes. Like, he played to these type of jokes that are gonna be in his strengths. Like, he couldn't do other type of jokes, like Fluffy, right? Fluffy does all these jokes with, like, he makes like different voices. He makes like car sound, that sort of thing. Like, that's his type of crazy jokes. He couldn't do that. So if you can't hit those jokes, so you got to hit the jokes that you can hit. If you're the straight man, if you're these type of things that are monotone, like, use your strengths.
Okay, but wouldn't you say, and I want your opinion as well, BJ, wouldn't you say that even though he recognized that, okay, I have Asperger's, and you're saying that you're not noticing that through his act, I mean, he still does the little weird faces that, like expressions where you're like, is this guy a serial killer? I mean, is this guy gonna become a villain? I mean, I'm team Elon Musk all the way. I don't care if it takes us, to the destruction of humanity itself. I'm going with it. But he could turn into that villain just because of the little looks that he does. Obviously, the Asperger thing makes it a bit more understandable as to why that might be. Did you notice the joke where he actually, I'm almost certain that he played to the fact that he knows people think it's weird that he does those weird faces, because he said some joke, I don't remember what it was, but it went along the lines of like, people think I'm weird or something, and then he's like, I don't know why, and then he just keeps looking, he kept doing it. I don't know if you remember that part. And it made me feel like, even though he's playing to it and he is embracing it, he is definitely, I do think it comes through. I think it still comes out great, and it's a great comedy. But what do you think, BJ? Do you feel that you do feel it?
Bro, I did feel it all the way through. I ended up watching the rest of the skits, and it feels throughout the entire process of the show that the more he gets involved, the more it comes out. The sense of like, it's like not being able to interact socially, in like social settings of that kind, where he's constantly he's self-aware of what he has, but at the same time is completely unaware of where he is. I don't know if that makes sense.
Okay, so you do think that does play out. You can see it. You can feel that awkwardness, even on the monologue that he did so well on. You could still feel that.
Totally. It's, to me, the deeper it got into the episode, the more cringe I felt, because of how much it would be displayed, like the sense of his tics, his mannerisms, the monotone, he was so fixated. I think he was more fixated on the timing and saying the joke correctly at the correct time than he was aware of his surroundings. Because for the most part, when I see him on camera, he's looking at the cue card, like without a doubt. Like I understand that you have to look at it to be able to know what you're saying, like what's the next line, but there have been people that I have done it, and you can't tell that they're reading from a cue card. Other people, straight up, you can tell. But I think the fact that he has Asperger's doesn't help him in that scenario, because
I mean,
one of the things about Asperger's is that they get hyper fixated on objects. So I don't know.
yeah, but like even more to my point of him doing it. Well, I'm not saying that this is against what you said, but just further on, rather. Furthermore, what I felt from it is that he did amazing, even if he didn't have Asperger's, right? He did amazing for just being a techie, fucking freaky guy. Like, you're not expecting a guy, right? Like takes Asperger's away. Just the fact that this guy made PayPal, fucking Tesla, and all this shit. He's taking ships to the moon. We're gonna be living in Mars in no time because of this guy. And then you telling me, oh no, he's gonna host the SNL and actually do a bit where that almost feels like this is a professional comedian. To me, that alone was just like, damn. Like, I straight up thought this shit was gonna be some weird ass trolling thing where he was gonna have fun himself, but everybody else was just gonna feel cringe, you know? And he actually made it work. Now let's move on to the next part when he does the bit. The bit that we saw is when he does the news, you know, with Michael Che, which is the black comedian, which is he's great. And so he's doing like the news, and he's like the economy expert or the cryptocurrency like expert. So he brings him in. Here is when I think you could see a little bit more of the trolley part, less controlled, a bit more weird. Especially with the fucking Dogecoin shit, like. But nevertheless, me that I don't like SNL, I thought the whole bit was funny. It was like, all right, but so what is it? Like, it did make fun of the fact that like all these trading people today are talking about all these things, but then you're like, what is it? And then they just give you this vague explanation at the end. It's like, oh, it's a hustle. Okay, yeah, you just tell me that it's a hustle. So yeah, tell me your thoughts on that.
So for this piece, this is where I think he's manipulating us as a society. This is where I think he turns to, and I'll explain what I'm talking about. So, so I work with other people that buy Tesla stock, that buy Dogecoin, and buy these investments for Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk has been on like 60 Minutes and other news articles, like, where his tweet, his statement, his SNL appearance affects the stock price. So I say that, but I have to say this disclaimer. This is not financial advice. Don't listen to me. I'm an idiot. I say that disclaimer because you can't legally provide financial advice. So anybody listening to me better not do anything financial with this. So that's a thing. Like you can't. So I'm going to save us all here. Don't listen to Kiko or John about financial advice. We don't know
nobody.
Anything.
No, I don't know.
Not just for this episode, ever.
Not financial advice. Life advice, sure, but financial advice, do not listen to us.
And even then, I mean, try at your own risk, you know?
Yeah, like disclaimers. So I say that. So that being said, so every time Elon Musk said something, like I think there was a point where he sent out a tweet that said stonks, and like Tesla shot up because he said something. So the fact that he brought up Dogecoin not once, but like multiple times this episode, he is affecting Dogecoin, like cryptocurrency. Like, so with that, I think he did that on purpose. He planned this. It's like, yeah, I have this Asperger's and you guys are going to feel for me, but I also have a plan to make this money. Because at the end of the day, you don't become a billionaire by being an idiot. Like, that's just it's not a thing. So he talked about it. He said everything. He like even told you, hey, this is a hustle. Buy it.
So you even think it's calculated even to the macro? Not just the micro, right? For you RTS players over there, for you e-gamers, I see you. Not only the micro, the fucking macro. This is StarCraft movement.
He planned it.
And dude, did you feel that this one got a little more trolly when he was like, to the moon, Dogecoin to the moon? It was a bit like, it almost felt like, did the SNL cast know that he was gonna do it like that? You know?
I think they did, and I also they think he's joking. That's I think the SNL cast. Oh, that's great. They say these lines all the time. Diamond hands to the moon, like hold, do all these things. He is not joking.
Oh, so you think you think he played him? He played him like a deck of cards.
He played him. He played him. He's like, they felt for him. They felt sorry for him. They let him. They wrote him the thing, and he's like, we're gonna get Dogecoin up.
You think there was a little bit of, this guy is a techie guy, even Asperger's, like he's good at what he does, but he's not comedy. So yeah, when he says those crazy things, yeah, that's funny. Let's just put it. But in reality, he's like, yeah. He's just playing dumb, and just sliding it in. No love. No
Just like
lube.
that. I don't know if you guys have seen this meme, but there's a meme where like it has Bill Gates and then a phrase, then Elon Musk and a phrase. So like Bill Gates, I want to vaccinate everyone. It's like, no way. You're going to put a microchip in us, right? And then it has Elon Musk saying, I will microchip everyone. Yeah, do it. Because we all love Elon Musk. Yes, guys, I don't know if you've seen that meme. So like, we're not having whatever Bill Gates says, but whatever Elon Musk says, we're having it.
Okay, do you think though that he deserves the trust in him that he's gotten?
That's
And I'm not a defender of him, but the reason why I ask is because you could tell, like with someone like Bill Gates, that they're asking him if he's gonna share the patent of the vaccine with India so they cannot all die, and he's like, well, it's complicated, I cannot just give him the recipe, you gotta do this in a controlled environment and all this shit. And you could tell why people are like, yo, fuck Bill Gates. But everything Elon Musk does is like, it's weird because he connects with people in a way that he makes you feel like, yeah, even though he's a billionaire, I'm part of y'all. Like, I'm out there tweeting fucking crazy shit, smoking weed on Joe Rogan, and you know what? The SEC or whatever the fuck, the ones that control the thing, suck my dick, So, the reason why I ask is because, like, maybe he's not undeserving, that he has a lot of people going for him. I just think that if I wouldn't want him to turn out to be someone that just used that influence that he has to his benefit to make money, which I'm sure he's doing some of that. But I still trust up to now that he does want to make humanity better with the plans that he has. So, do you think, on another subject, do you think the fact that he had Asperger's, you're socially awkward, at the end that sort of plays in your favor to be super good at something because you're like, you know what, fuck it, I'm not going to go out. Like us, we used to go out and party and shit. Oh, let's go, to this somebody's get together and pass a Cavassier and drink and all this, right? And he just stayed home fucking, cranking, doing the studying and shit. And at 12, he made a video game. At 18, creates PayPal or whatever the fuck. And now he's, banging fucking Amber Heard and shit. So, do you think that played into his favor? Like that actually helped him, the fact that he sort of,
I mean, the question really here is, would you choose either or if you had the choice? Like if you knew from the get, like, oh, I could either not go out and make shitloads of money and then go out with Amber Heard, or go out every day, be the talk of the town, be the king of the popularity contest, but at the end be living at my mom's house at the age of 33.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, if you have to decide as a kid, we're fucking retarded, right? Like, we just go for the immediate thing. He didn't have a choice. He was like, yo, my social shit is fucked. I'm scared just going out there. So I'm just going to stay in here and I'm going to change the world. Like, I don't think it's a question of would you choose it, because at the end of the day, you don't know what it is to feel like he felt. True. I think at the end of the day, you got to just play with the cards you got. And it's hard to try to picture yourself as someone else because there's so many things that you will need to know that you don't know to feel that, right? But it almost feels like he only could have been who he is today because he had Asperger's. I mean, he probably has high IQ, a good upbringing, but it almost seemed like that focus, accuracy on things and getting them done is something that I think that played into his favor to succeed. So, I mean, I didn't mean to do this, but this is a fucking uplifting story that, even if you have what people will call disabilities and learning challenges, at the end, it could be that it's compensating for something else and you end up, being able to remember every address in the phone book. I don't know if that's much help, but, depending on what power you get, you can.
I just got I got a frisbee hat.
The power you get. So yeah, I mean, what Kiko says. So the way you ask the question is difficult because if I knew I was gonna be a billionaire, then all day, yeah, I sacrifice my childhood to be a billionaire. There's no question there. Like whatever it is, I'm sacrificing it. The difficult piece is if you don't know if you're gonna be a billionaire, then you gotta choose. Like, do you sacrifice your life to do these certain things for the chance? Because you may not make it. Not everyone is a billionaire. There's probably plenty of people that have Asperger's that are not even remotely close.
Right, like not every story is Forrest Gump. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean,
not every story gets us there.
There's also different variations of this Asperger's, like how effective or ineffective that it affects your social skills,
Would you say that he exaggerates it?
I don't think so. No. I think he just is how he is. But I also think he's really smart. Like I'm one, like I'm supporting him, but I also think he's using us sympathetically.
No, I mean, with Elon Musk specifically, there's no need to feel sorry for him. Like, he's got the world by the balls. I mean,
yeah.
For everyone else,
he's using us, man. He knows what he's doing. He knows what he goes on there. He says dumb things, but he knows. He's like, we're getting this money.
I mean,
okay. So last thoughts before we end on this topic. Would you say? Yeah, go BJ.
Sorry, even though like the price from the point that he went on, which is at 72 cents, it went down to an all-time low of 42 cents. The stock price of Dogecoin, as of him showing up, but on SNL.
So it had the reverse effect,
right? And I that's what I feel like. I mean, I don't know. This is kind of messed up. I think the fact that he said that he has Asperger's, because up until yesterday nobody knew that he had that, right? No, there was no. I mean,
people suspect that he has some shit. I did.
Right, like maybe he was just eccentric, or he's very, very intelligent, and
freak.
Shows it in different ways.
So you think that's the reason he went down? Him mentioning that.
I think the combination of him mentioning that and then trolling with the constant Dogecoin, for people to finally kind of fully see the face behind. Like, I imagine this is the guy that created PayPal, created Tesla, is currently running Tesla. How would a person who has invested $3 billion into the company of Tesla feel after seeing Elon Musk perform yesterday?
But why? Because you think at times it did seem a bit wild? I
think it doesn't have to do with the content. I think it has to do with the whole combination of things, of the fact that he's so fixated on the Dogecoin, the fact that he has Asperger's.
Are you saying Asperger's? It's not Asperger.
I know it's not Asperger's. Okay. I'm saying Asperger's.
Okay.
Aspergers.
Okay. No, I just want to make sure, because the people that are listening to us, sometimes
it sounds like Asperger's.
Yeah, I mean, it sounded to me, and I don't want them to think that we're sort of, not putting respect on the name.
No, absolutely. Call it how it is.
To BJ's point, I was just as the expert here, he revealed it on Saturday. I don't think it was known before Saturday that he had it. So it could be negatively impacting the price on Tesla. But we won't know on Tesla until Monday.
But I'm pretty
Dogecoin has dropped. It was up at 70, and then it dropped. Right now it's at 50. So maybe it did impact it. Maybe people are a little more skeptical. Maybe people aren't as welcoming like we are here on the podcast. We don't care what you have. We
Oh,
talk
no,
about it. Yeah, but
absolutely
maybe
not.
others
But
are like, hey,
more power to
that's
him.
a yeah, it's a mental.
We don't care what you have. We care
Yeah.
what you give.
Yeah, exactly. And he's
Quite,
giving.
quite the contrary. To more power to him. Like more praise should
He's a
be gotten to
billionaire.
him because he's a billionaire.
He's a billionaire.
He's achieved all that he's achieved at to this point.
Número uno.
Numero uno.
No. He did it.
El tijerazo.
So what's our excuse?
Fuck Jeff Bezos.
Oof. What is our excuse? We need to
Well,
we need
the
to get to
first
work.
thing, if you want to improve in life, do not compare yourself to Elon Musk. There was this guy, I think Jordan Peterson was talking about. Like there was this guy, right? That you guys, people in the Broskiedoodles know Jordan Peterson. I'm pretty sure. Tavo and BJ know. Peterson was talking about some guy that he was like helping out, right, in his clinic practice as a clinical psychologist, and the guy was like really bad self-esteem, low self-esteem. He didn't think he was really good because he was always comparing himself to his college roommate. And like Peterson asked him, so who was your roommate? He's like, oh, this is this guy that made PayPal and then Tesla. His name is Elon Musk. And it's like, well, yeah, I mean, you will never grow and feel happy if you're comparing yourself to other people. And this helps me as well. Like when I'm going out there and trying to get better at, cardio or running or biking or football, I got to compare myself to how I was playing yesterday or how I was performing yesterday. Because otherwise, you're always going to see people that are on some other level and shit. So, yeah, it's important to not compare yourself, especially not to Elon Musk. But any last thoughts on the Elon Musk situation, Asperger's, his performance on SNL, and his influence on the stock market, potentially?
Do I feel like he consciously knew that he was manipulating the market by doing what he did? Possibly. Do I feel like he wanted to like just get out the whole Doge thing and not really care about the rest of the fucking show? That's also a possibility. But I think that deep down inside, because of his condition or his disorder or his spectrum analysis, he tends to be a little bit more naive or like
yeah, that motherfucker ain't naive.
What's the word? Like in the social setting, because he doesn't have the knowledge, because he doesn't have the awareness. Like
the thing with him, I think he's so smart that he can overcome that. Like he's so smart that he even like does some like AI on the social part so that it works.
Right, but he's just inputting a code, receiving an output, and he goes on and he moves forward. But if the input changes, he might not be able to produce the new output because of the fact that it changed from the script that it was already
what
implanted.
the fuck are you talking about, BJ?
I'm saying that Elon Musk is a robot. That's what I'm saying.
Gus.
So
That will help us out.
So just to kind of wrap us up in this pieces, always gotta leave on a positive note. So like to our viewers, so like don't be who you are. Like if you have it, like you can still overcome. Play to your strengths. He was clearly playing to his strengths in the sketches, in the money. He was playing to his strengths. So play to your strengths. Get to zero. Like if you're living at home with your mom and you have debt and you don't pay for your own stuff, get to zero, and then we can start working on the other pieces. But overall, I think he did a good job. Is he mentally manipulating us? Like, am I gonna say yes, put the chip in me? Probably, because he's such a nice guy, like charismatic out here, just like yeah, go ahead, microchip me. That's cool. That's fine. So I think if Dogecoin went down that much, I think you should buy it now, because if it went down that much, you should buy it. But hey, this is not financial advice. Don't listen to me. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, don't listen.
I do not listen to me for financial advice. No way.
Shit.
No.
All right. Well, that was us on that topic. So we're gonna talk about some other nice stuff that we wanted to get our old school people back in the day, the 90s, the motherfucking Super Nintendo freaks, and on. Yeah, we got you. We got you. Dun 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 dun. Mortal Kombat. I didn't get much help on the singing part from you guys. I was
Also,
hoping
John
more.
said Hadouken.
I know I did, right?
That's Street Fighter.
That's Street Fighter. All right.
That's Street
So,
Fighter.
For the Mortal Kombat fanatics, that's it. We lost those subscribers, or
It's like,
didn't gain those. So I've been
I
meaning
can't
to
believe I
talk
said
to you.
Hadouken.
I'm gonna kick you off the fucking pot. I've been meaning to talk to you guys, the Broskiedoodles, and you guys here in the room with me about fucking the new Mortal Kombat movie. I mean, this is a game that goes with us, you know, with our age group, right? And yeah, I mean, we're gonna compare, we're gonna tear it to pieces, criticize it, praise it, compare it to the original one, to the video game. So we're gonna go through the whole thing. So if you just got here, if this is the first time listening to the Broskiedoodle, this is gonna be a good one. All right. So let's start off. Let's give general critiques of it. So just tell me like, oh, I liked it, or shit, I hated it, and then we're gonna go in depth on things. I'll start off with me. General, without going in depth, I liked it. What about you, BJ?
Definitely liked it.
All right. Tabo?
for me, it was what I wanted from a film. Give you an example, like if I'm watching Godzilla versus King Kong, I know what to expect. It's like big monsters fighting. If I'm watching Mortal Kombat, people fighting. That's what I want to see. So for what it was okay.
Yeah,
Go with it. It's okay.
I actually agree a lot with what you said, because I actually had a post on Facebook that says something like, for the people saying the Mortal Kombat movie sucked, what the fuck were you expecting? Like a 10-year in the making Chris Nolan classic? Like, it's fucking Mortal Kombat, you know? You want the bells and the whistles and the things, and he had it. So, I mean, to expand a bit on this, I think I'm with Tavo in the sense that it had everything I wanted on a Mortal Kombat movie, or a lot of it, which is the things, the sayings, the fatalities, you know, the fucking characters are back and the effects are better, all this shit. And that was magical. And just for that, I'm like, I'll watch it, just for that. But part of me was a bit bittersweet that it could have been a really deep movie. Like when Batman was made by Chris Nolan, that first movie, that Batman became, you know, with the Dark Knight. It became a movie that overpassed comic movies. It was a movie that was enjoyable regardless. It had depth. It had character depth. So I felt that with the Mortal Kombat movie, they really could have done something like that. But I'm not mad with the cheesy shit. You know, that for the nostalgia, it works. But I think it could have been deeper. What do you guys think?
So to me, I agree with you. The problem with Mortal Kombat is to find like the right plot. I think they had a generally good idea within the movie. So I'll go into like a little bit of the plot. It's basically they have the tournament. Earth has to win the tournament to keep it from being conquered by the other realms, and the fighting ensues. That's why we even have Mortal Kombat, is to defend Earth from the outer realms to come to us. And I think their problem is because they had so many characters, you couldn't like focus on one character. And I'll give you an example where from before, like from the old movies and from the video games, Liu Kang is always like the go-to like main guy, because Liu Kang is supposed to be winning the tournament. And that's what happened in the first Mortal Kombat. Liu Kang was there. Like they killed I think they killed Kung Lao in the first movie, right in the beginning. And Liu Kang had to go fight Shang Tsung for the Mortal Kombat title. And this is what he won. I think they wanted to stray from that a little bit on this movie. They went a different direction, which is okay. You can do that. It's Mortal Kombat. There's like hundreds of characters. You don't have to focus on that. So they started off really well. I guess I'll go into that piece. Like the beginning of Mortal Kombat, I think was fantastic. It was Scorpion versus Sub-Zero, and they did a twist, which I was okay with it. Scorpion was the good guy in this movie, whereas Sub-Zero was the bad guy. Every other, it's always the other way around. Sub-Zero's the good guy, Scorpion's the bad guy. This one they said other way, which totally okay with that.
Without wanting for you to lose your track, I want you to keep on going with what you're saying. I think everyone can agree when you saw that intro, I thought, oh shit, this is gonna be that deep Mortal Kombat movie, because that intro fucking scene was amazing. I was like, this shit is gonna take a, because even the fact that he's throwing the thing and it's a bit more rustic, it's not the actual, it made it look even better, like he was like in the past, you know, and you can see like, oh, this is the origins of it. And man, that part, and I felt like it almost felt like when you got a video game that's being made by a badass fucking company, and then towards the end they just give it to some shitty company because they had an issue with the other one, and it just ends up the rest being fucked. Like, yo, what the fuck happened to this? But I'm not gonna talk the mad shit. Like, I like the movie, but it did seem like it veered off from then to being less deep and less of what I thought it could have been.
I agree with you. So to say, yeah, so he had the rustic knife. He was using rope. So you saw how he used the rope. You saw how he threw it. So you saw the beginning of Scorpion. So it's kind of like, oh, and I get where you're coming from. You wanted to feel like, oh, this is the beginning of Scorpion. They could have gone into like more aspects of how Scorpion comes back from the dead and these sort of pieces. And he could have been the main character to drive us through the movie. But they didn't. They went to go a different direction.
And actually, the movie was going well even a little bit after that. When Jax stays fighting Sub-Zero and loses his arms, you're like, oh, this is a little origin story for why he lost his arms, right? So even then, that was good for me. We're gonna get into why the fuck they put the little arms first that look like fucking Forrest Gump's legs and shit. Like, that was just fucked up. But I agree with you. You could have had Scorpio, which at the end was Scorpio and his son were the ones that drove it. But I thought you could have driven it better, and then give little origin stories on the rest, but very briefly. You know, like with Kano, you could have shown like, oh, I came from Australia. I remember when and then whatever the fuck. That's why he became who he was, type shit. And Sonja was like, she was a prostitute, you know, some shit, and then she's like, fuck this, I'm gonna fuck this motherfuckers up. But okay, let's get into the critiques of this thing, because there were a lot of holes in this movie where I was like, yo, what the fuck? And let's start off with the plot itself. If the whole thing is about an agreement that the evil people and the earth have, that we're gonna do this tournament every year so that if we win, you don't come and fuck us that year, right? Like, why all of a sudden now the bad guys are breaking this deal? Like, it almost seems like, well, if that could happen, then a long time ago they would have just fucked us over. They're fucked. They have powers with humans. So to me, that broke the whole like honor code that you thought was unbreakable for this dynamics to even exist.
I agree. So that is going to be a plot hole right there, because if they could have just broken all the rules and conquered Earth, then why do we even have the tournament at all? So it's one of those, like, you're thinking about it and you're like, this doesn't make sense.
Yeah, there's no consequence for breaking the rules.
Exactly. There's no consequence for breaking. There should be consequences for breaking the rules. Like, oh, so you broke the rules, all right, you have lost the tournament, and Earth remains untouched.
Yeah.
But who's the rule keeper, right?
Yeah, but then I think I barely remember the first movie, except I remember as a great movie because when I saw it when I was a little kid, it was amazing. But I gotta rewatch it. I don't know if he ages well. Maybe you could tell me a bit on that. But yeah, I felt like there should have been something else that was bigger than both of them. That sort of was, you know, the one that kept the shit going. Because you're right, like, or even Raiden. If Raiden is sort of one of the ones that needs to keep shit on, like, if everything goes wrong, he comes in because he has more power. He was like a bitch on the whole movie. Like, he didn't do shit. Like, they fucking just slapped him around, their dick around his face, and he was just like, "You guys gotta go. You guys gotta leave." You know, and it's like,
so that really pissed me the fuck off. That Raiden didn't do jack shit the entire thing. Like, they're breaking the rules in front of you, and they're killing your combatants. The very least you can do is protect them or save them. You know, like what the fuck.
So to give a little bit more to like the plot, so Raiden is supposed to be an elder god, and there's like basically these would be the rule because there's a set of elder gods which they mention but never bring into the movie. But they're not doing their job. They're just like they're looking the other way, they're doing something else. They're not paying attention to the rules of as to what's going on. So Raiden is, which again, like if Raiden is paying attention and he's a rule keeper, then they're breaking the rules, so something should happen. So that right there, you have big flaws in the entire system. That didn't happen in the first one. Like they actually had the tournament, they fought. Like some people died, some people lived, and like the tournament was a legit tournament, and we got to a logical
on the first
conclusion.
one, all these things made sense and weren't an issue. Like there was a rules that were being kept by the bad guys and the good guys.
Right, the rules were there. There may have been like little cheating, but that's like, you know how you can like tweak some cheating here and there, but not like break the entire rules of the tournament. Like, you know,
Right.
if you like stab a guy before he goes into the ring, sort of thing. Like, yeah, that's
Because
cheating.
Yeah,
Like sabotage. Right.
right. Like sort of like on Karate Kid, you know.
Right.
He knew he hurt him in a bad way to fuck him up, but you know, but the thing still went on. No, but yeah, this is different though. I think that hole in the new movie pretty much took off the sense of the movie, and then it just became like, all right, let's have a scene where these two fight each other, and it almost looked like the one thing I did like, but it shouldn't have been brought up because of the you know, by fucking up the plot. But I did like the fact that they made it look like you're playing the video game, like in different stages. You know, you could like that. So I think that was cool, but not do it. But it just became like a thing where like, okay, the plot broke, and from now on we're just gonna put these motherfuckers to fight, and it's just gonna be like an eye candy movie, and that's it. When it could have been so much more. Like it could have had fucking depth. They could have done so much more on it. And if Raiden can just move people here and there, then why didn't he just do that before? You know, it's just.
Big plot holes. But I agree with you. Like it was nice to see like oh, these are the fights, and we're gonna go into like some of the keywords that were said. They said a lot of really nice keywords in this movie for us fans. Like, I'm gonna save the best for last, but they had like test your might. It was a subtle. It's like this is where you test your might. It said test your might. He said when the guy is kicking him with a low kick over and over again, like is that the only move you know how to do? Because when you play Mortal Kombat and you're new, that's the only move that you do, and you're like, stop doing that. And it was cute. It was cute. Like that was like you want to see these sort of things. You want these little cuteness to it, and you can do all the cuteness if you have like a strong plot to put the cuteness in. They just are like, let's just stick it in there and we'll figure it out. They didn't plan that out. They didn't plan the fights, because if you planned, all right, the tournament started and then boom, and then everyone's like teleported because of Raiden, and you were in the spot, like, okay, now here we are.
Yeah, they could have definitely tied that up and still use all of those badass scenes, but just give a little bit more of an explanation. I think, you know what? I really think that there was no reason to not have the tournament. Like, I think that little thing where they wanted to, let's make it different than the first one, you fucked it up. Like, it's a tournament that's being done a lot later than in the first movie, right? Because now you have the son of the son of the son of Scorpion, whatever, who has like this weird ass power. Which, by the way, now let's move on to the other thing, right?
Oh my
Why the
God.
fuck do they get powers like they're Power Rangers?
So we'll go in. Yeah, I'll hit on two pieces. First, why did we have a brand new character introduced into this movie? So at first, when I saw him, this is Cole. What's his name? Cole
Young.
Cole Young. I'm thinking, I haven't played enough Mortal Kombat. I don't know the new characters like in the video games. He doesn't exist in any of the video games.
He was created solely for this movie.
for this. Yep, he was created for this movie. Which I'm like, you have so many characters you can pick from, and you make a new garbage one.
150 plus.
Oof, with our expert John Heidel, he knows 150 plus characters, and we make a new garbage one. So right off the bat, we're like, why do I care about this guy? He's not in my franchise. I never played him as a kid. Where's
Yeah.
Johnny Cage? Like,
Yeah.
like we're all upset about this. Like, who is this cold garbage?
Which we'll talk about the little advising part at the end about
Yeah.
a second movie with Johnny Cage. But Yeah, man. No, but go on, go on. Yeah, hit
Yeah.
on what you were hitting.
And spoilers.
So he says, so spoilers, right? So, oh, we should have probably pointed out from the beginning. Spoiler alert
No,
for
no.
this entire.
This shit is gonna have like this is a review of this movie.
All right, so
If you don't get it,
spoilers from the beginning.
yeah.
So, so that to me pissed me off. Like, why do we have a new character? So to explain the Arcana, this is how they get their powers. It's called the Arcana, which is okay because in storytelling, you always want like the main hero to develop, to train, which is fine. To me, it was fine because like, okay, you have to develop your Arcana. They didn't really say how you develop your Arcana, and they called it an Arcana. We're like, what the hell is an Arcana? Because they have to find a way. Like, how do these normal humans, like they have to like this? I was okay with it because you have to like figure out how do normal humans get these superpowers, right? Were they born with it? With this, that, the other?
Yeah,
So,
but
Go ahead.
I'll give you an answer to that, and I think me and BJ spoke to this in the green room a few days ago. Just like Jack got this, you know how he got the original shitty arms,
Right.
and then through the Arcana he got more badass arms. Those arms could have been done by the fucking military, like easy, like that's at least in the movie, right? Like fucking Tony Stark type shit, and you could have done the same for the motherfucker with the eye, put a laser in his eye, and you could have done the same for the girl with some bionic shit in her arms, and it would have made sense rather than some fucking power shit that I'm not a big fan of Mortal Kombat, so I don't know every literature on it, but I've never read anywhere that this motherfucker's got the power through some fucking little tattoo that they got on two for one on Miami Beach.
2-for-1 on Miami Beach.
Never. Fucking A, bro.
So,
What's
so
up with
what
this
do you think of
horrible
that,
shit?
Davo?
So I'll go into a few pieces then, just to make sure. So I'm gonna leave Jax out of this because I think Jax ruins a lot of it, but I'll get to him. So we'll start with the others. So you have to follow, like, if when you write something, when you have to follow the logic of your movie. Like, if you create a realm or you create something, it has to make sense within the rules that you created. That's where I'm gonna. If these are the rules, then you have to play within those rules and you have to live there. So if the rule is if you're marked by that tattoo, you're gonna get some sort of power. All right, that's the rule. We're okay with that. Like, that's just like it's more of like a basis for the audience. Like, if you're marked with the tattoo, you're gonna get your powers. We'll leave it at that. So it goes into, like, you know, Liu Kang's fire, goes into Cole's like armor with his shit, Kano's laser eye, Sonya's purple things, and everything was fine. Those four are fine. Who breaks the rules is Jax. That's why I bring him last. Jax breaks the rules. So are you telling me when he was marked from his tattoo that his Arcana was going to be crazy metal arms? So, like, if he never fought Sub-Zero and had his arms broken, his Arcana would have still been for him to get crazy metal arms? Boom. Plot hole. That's my problem with the tattoo. I was okay with it. Like, if the other guys, if you have a tattoo, you get your power, great.
Well,
Jax
but he could have. Yeah,
ruined it.
but Jack could have said at one point, "How did my Arcana know? Oh, this is how I should be a motherfucker that does it." Like Jack telling someone, like, a quick scene, like, "How did my Arcana know that I wasn't gonna have any arms?" Like, oh, because he knows who you're gonna be and who you will always be. It was some like philosophical shit, and it would explain it.
Some
I mean,
bullshit.
if you're already telling me that the fucking tattoo, you're fine with the tattoo shit, then you should be
No,
fine.
but the tattoo doesn't make sense because, like, so the entire time you were gonna have broken arms.
Yeah, motherfucker. The tattoo's like, yo, you're gonna get these badass arms, but we're gonna chop them off first. Whoa, but and also, why the fuck are you fighting Sub-Zero? Like, at the moment he was just like a badass war hero. That's it.
At most.
I mean, because you gotta be strong. Like, I don't have a problem with him fighting Sub-Zero. He's like,
No,
oh
that's
shit.
fine.
He's
But
just
I'm
like,
just saying. All
and
right,
he
but
shouldn't have been fighting Sub-Zero, but he didn't know he was like that level of
okay,
like.
okay. You know
badass.
what? Following your shit, because I understand that they need to spice it up and also sort of explain how the humans have these powers. Okay, so let's say that they go with your route, with the little tattoo and shit. You could have used that to be the inside story, like, and say some shit like, when the tournament started, humans had, were wars, whatever, but they had to have been given a first chance in the tournament. So the super gods at the top would assign certain amount of humans and give them the opportunity to excel, to be able to get the Arcana, and this way be able to, so like to be in a playing level field. That I'll be fine. Like, but they would have to explain it more rather than just like, oh, by the way, you know that tattoo shit? Well, at one point, if you fucking get high enough, you're gonna get that shit turned on. I think there was enough time, instead of having so many stupid fight scenes at the beginning that weren't important. Like the fight scenes were like, oh, we came here, we're trying to sneak in, and then Raiden's like, come on guys, you know you can't be here. Instead of those stupid scenes that didn't add anything, they should have had more little scenes where he tells stories like, how did Kano be to be, how did, you know, boom boom boom, and a little bit, and it shouldn't have never been the bad people trying to fuck up the earth before the tournament. It should have been clear that it was going to be just a normal tournament, and you could still have. I think the son of Scorpio should have just been Scorpio.
You keep saying the son of Scorpio.
Oh, yeah. It's Scorpion. There's an N there.
But it's still
Right,
it's
so
not, it's not his son, though.
the descendant, pues, the descendant. The descendant of Scorpio, because you know what? You shouldn't have had any kid live or whatever the fuck. I don't know. I'm just saying
It's not,
that
character
character is shit.
great grandson.
Yeah, but that character is shit, and it doesn't really make sense. Like, oh, I was waiting until what? Like until like I had. By the way, the actor. I mean, the acting on the movie itself, you know, it's not the greatest. But the guy that played what's his name? Cole, the guy that played the descendant of Scorpio.
Cole,
Worst acting ever. Guy didn't bring anything to the table. Fucking sucks. His powers sucked. Everything sucked. He was just so bad. The movie, like, so bad. He was so bad.
I think we were talking about that before, that the best actor in the movie was probably the guy that couldn't speak English. The Japanese guy, the one that played Scorpion.
Yeah, word.
To me, I mean, I can't hate on everybody. I thought the guy who played Kano did a good job. Yeah. I believe, like, I think his delivery was there. I think he was like, you wanted to hate him a little bit. He was funny at points. I think Kano had a good...
I think he was great.
Kano? Okay.
Yeah,
right, so we can't hate all the actors on there. See, you still have... Like,
you were invested in Kano at some
I was
extent.
invested in Kano. Like, even when he turned bad, I was like, that's fine. I'm okay with this. I like him. Like, I overall, like, felt like, all right, I like Kano.
Right.
I didn't even think it was bad that Kano flipped, you know? But... it's just like the whole thing of Raiden putting like a little thing that he could just break. There's so many holes in that sense. Now, I don't want to just poop on this thing all the way. Let's also talk about the good things. Let's talk about the fatalities. I like them.
My favorite, I think this is BJ's also favorite as well, is when they say flawless victory. I think this was the best scene in the whole movie. So Kung Lao is facing the girl that can fly. What's her name here? Let's see if we can get a name from the audience. Here we go. Nitara is the character's name, the vampire girl. So he's facing her. She comes to the attack. He gets on her back, like, so she's flying around. And then they're flying around, and then he throws his hat onto the ground. That hat starts spinning like a little help here, BJ.
Like a sawmill.
Like a sawmill, and then he drives her through the sawmill and just like splits her in half. Oof. And then he gets his hat back, puts it on, and he goes, flawless victory, hands down. Like, the movie for me was made right there. I was like, I'm okay with this. This gives it good movie. Yeah. This little piece.
Yeah, the thing is that the little rewards or little whatever you want to call it, or the little nuggets all around the movie justify how cheesy and dumb and at times it was. So yeah, I mean, and that was the best fatality. Just to end on the negative, I'm just saying, imagine what it could have been if on top of all that you actually had a good plot and a good, you know, like just good writing on it. But yeah, the fatalities, that one was the best one by far. Which one, BJ? Do you remember that you liked a lot?
I mean, I really like the Jax one.
Jax one?
Walk us through it.
So we got the Jax one where he's fighting against the General Reiko. And he basically
does with a hammer, right?
With a hammer. The signature, you know, double fist, you know, just like a Gallagher watermelon just blowing up guts.
Yeah, that
I
one
did,
was
however,
fire.
I did, however, feel like that stage because I like the fact that they split them up into stages and stages that were like memorable in the Mortal Kombat universe of gaming, and I did like that. However, I did not like that they didn't utilize the stages to its like full extent because there was that one stage where Jax was fighting, where it had the pit like with the
Hmm.
spikes and stuff. I would have liked to have seen somebody fall into that pit.
That's
You know,
true.
So
It
you
would have been
prefer
a,
Jax to uppercut him into the pit, and then he falls into the pit, and then you see the spike go into it.
or even he could do his signature punch in the face, and then when the body falls, a
right.
camera follows him into the pit.
And then it's
Yeah, yeah.
And then
Well,
you
this
hear
is
the
important for the
whoopsie.
people that move the dials at the top. You can have advisors here. I mean, we'll go for a good price. I mean, it won't be cheap. It'll be competitive though.
Will be competitive.
I did like the X-ray hit that they did for Melina, where you just see like
Oh, you see the hole and you see her back.
the spinal cord. Oof.
So Sonya gets her powers, newly fresh powers, launches the purple at Melina, puts a hole through her, and apparently
Yeah.
in Sonya's there's like a gap where there is no attack, so it just cuts through her and like all her insides are gone, but then you see her spine perfectly. So it's like she hit it like bullseye to just show us her spine.
Maybe I want to say that the pulsating wave that she shoots only like damages flesh and not bone. So it corded out just the flesh but left the bone.
Oh, which brings me into the next point that I like. What I liked about this movie is even the gore and like the nastiness that we saw, it didn't hurt. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by it didn't hurt. It didn't feel like this was happening to me. So like I think they did a good job here. So I want to give them some props. For example, if you see the movie Saw, which is like a gore movie where the guy like they use all these like things that just hurt you and make you feel bad, like very gory, very bloody. Like that movie makes you like, oh my God, I wish that never happens to me. The Mortal Kombat was just enough to like, this is happening, but it doesn't feel like this is happening to me, so I can watch this type of fighting, and I was okay with the type of
Yeah.
fighting. It just felt, it was like, it was fun enough that I'm like, yeah, kill him, chop his head off, yeah,
Yeah,
great.
I think, and it's weird because you're talking about an actual very interesting thing. It had something that made it cartoony enough, very little, so that you're disconnected in the sense of it being a real thing. And I don't know what are the things that made that happen. I will need to look into a bit more, but it was weird because it wasn't like with Tarantino. Like if you watch a Tarantino film, you fucking feel those gory moments, right? It's like
Yeah.
pa ta. And here, even though you do see very detailed shit, it does have some filter on it that for some reason it just it doesn't feel horrible. It doesn't feel like bad to the feels inside, and a lot more kid friendly, which I guess helps them as well.
I think it's the
Kid
tension.
friendly.
The tension.
Yeah, it's more teenage friendly. Let's go with teenage friendly. At the tension, because so like if
Wasn't
you,
it rated R?
it was rated R, but you know, everybody watches this thing. But if you don't like zoom in on it and like focus and create a tension between the characters, so when you have the split, that tension is what makes you feel it. There was no real tension. You knew it was a fight. You knew something was gonna happen, and it was just like bring it on. The music was different. It didn't have like, oh, there it is. So when you watch like scary movies and like thrillers, like every time they make a move, there's like a noise that goes da-dum or something to that effect to like, oh, and you're like, wait a second, did that even actually happen? It was more of the noise in my mind that made me hurt. They didn't have that scariness, which is I was okay with. I didn't want the scariness from this movie. I wanted killing.
That's true.
I wanted like all the gore. I wanted the attacks.
Yeah, like the sounds and music changes at all, because if instead of you seeing all this shit that's like making you tense and it's scary and the music is tudum tudum, if instead of that you got these motherfuckers that are about to fight and you hear dan 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 and they start fighting, you're gonna look at that gory moment a lot different. Because it's gonna feel more like, oh, this is fun, this is like different, instead of it being like dum 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 dum. It will be a lot different.
Get over here.
Yeah.
Your soul is mine.
yeah, I guess maybe the tempo was faster, so it didn't like, I don't know, it just felt good. I think they did a good job on that to like get gory and do those pieces because they didn't feel like it hurt me. It was just more fun. It's like, oh, look at that. Oh, it was more of a shock. Like, yeah, get him. Yeah, slice her in half. Yeah, all these things. It was
Okay,
more fun.
and obviously, if you know, at the end there was a little sneak peek that makes it look like they're gonna make a second movie with Johnny Cage, right, in Hollywood.
Right.
Which is great that they're gonna bring him in. Do you guys agree with me that there will be a second movie? And do you have higher hopes for the second movie in the sense of how I analyzed it? Like, you think could it be they make it even deeper, or it's just gonna be sort of the same cheesiness? But hey, you know, it's always good to watch.
For the second movie, they have work to do. If they're gonna, they really have to like, they can fix it. They're at the point right now where it can be fixed because at this point, like, so the people die. Shensung takes them to like hell or just takes them back, right? And like is repairing them. So they need to do something to make it count. Like they can change, like instead of focusing on this brand new garbage character Cole Young, they focus on our boy Johnny Cage and like make it like where, all right, this is what's going on. Now we have the tournament. These are the set rules. And they like basically forget the garbage they did in the first one and they clean it up for the second one. They can. Will they do that? No, because I know how sequels work. Sequels are always hot garbage. Like if you thought this one was mediocre, the sequel's gonna really suck. I just know it because they're gonna be like, just put it together, make them fight, whatever. We don't care, just make money.
I
I just
hate,
know how it goes.
I hate the fact that I feel like you're right.
I'm not
that's
an
true.
expert for no reason.
Like, you know, at the beginning, for some reason, you were getting me excited. I'm like, oh yeah, like this has a solution. But are they gonna do it? Absolutely not. Never in their life. These motherfuckers don't give a fuck about depth or how you feel. They give a fuck about making this shit bells and whistles and fucking charging you $15 to see it. But hey, man, maybe if they put a little more into it, people will actually go to the theater and pay for the fucking thing.
I would like to believe that they're gonna explore the Scorpion storyline a little bit deeper, find out like why is it that Sub-Zero is bad, and why is it that Sub-Zero is doing this, trying to eliminate their whole clan. Go into that aspect. Also go into the aspect of now having to bring all these people back that are quote unquote dead, which isn't really dead, is just in a different realm, whatever that means. Finding the new champions and also doing kind of like a little backstory intro to the new champions, because now they have to come up with new people and like new bad people, like new good people and new bad people.
They have 150 characters to choose from. They just pick a few and we bring them in. I also had another topic that I wanted to bring up for Mortal Kombat, maybe gaming in general here. So like in gaming, the girls are dressed more how do I put this? What's the phrase I'm looking for here, BJ?
Insinuating, provocative.
There we go. I like that word. The women are just more provocative in like the video games. I don't know why. It just is.
I mean,
but they didn't follow that throughout the movie. Like it was not characterly consistent with the character. And I will bring up Melina in the example here. So we all knew that Melina had these crazy teeth, which is what they gave her, which is we were okay with that. But she also wore a very I would say loose tank top. Like her tank top would go from the top and like the entire middle of her chest through her belly button was visible.
That's not loose. That's revealing.
Oh, revealing. Oh, that's better.
Yeah.
Hey,
we're always learning words here as well. I mean, you know, we're not over.
Speak American.
We're not over those things.
So we didn't get that from Melina, and I was just like, who? At first, I didn't know who the character was.
But are you saying in the game it shows that? And in the game, does it show a little skin?
Yeah, it shows it like it wasn't, because I mean, and then same thing with Sonya was always dressed up like she was fully, because she was in combat mode, which was fine. She stayed in combat mode, but Melina was not. Melina was definitely in like a provocative outfit, and same with Natara in a sense. Like both of them, like Natara was the vampire girl. So like what happened? Like did we just punk out? It's a rated R movie. Why are we not seeing the characters how they were created in the game?
That would have to do with like the whole thing now. Like the games even Like when Gamergate happened a few years back, one of the topics, and it's a consistent topic, is making ladies or girl characters less provocative, just like they did with the bunny from
Oh
Space
my
Jam.
god.
And it's just like a movement because I think people feel threatened that this. I mean, I think it's stupid, because
It,
at the end of the day, I don't know what you guys think.
it's quote unquote assembling this false sense of like of beauty that it's unachievable through because like you could design like a video game character to look however he or she wants or right, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's real or anatomically correct or anatomically achievable.
I mean, when they make a superhero, does the superhero look like me, or does he look like fucking Henry Cavill? Because this shit goes both ways. Like when you're casting somebody to be a badass, right? That motherfucker looks, fit and shit, fucking
Right.
chiseled. So would we
So
say the same thing to them?
so would you say there's a double standard now? So like men can look and achieve like be like He-Man and everyone's okay with it. But when we want, the women to look like their characters, then like no, we can't have it. But men can be out there shirtless and that's okay.
Well, I think that the real comparison is men uh, have to tolerate watching other men be super fit, right? Have this maybe almost impossible figure because of whatever they're doing. But then if women see that, then oh, that's fucked. Like, well, like you gotta be smart enough to know that to love yourself or whatever the fuck you are, and not fall deep in the fucking saddened world of this bullshit.
So like in other words like that there's a double standard as far as like men have to be a certain way to be considered attractive versus women um that would be considered body shaming or like
It's saying
putting
like
down a
men
person.
have the pressure to be hot but women not, type thing maybe.
I mean,
But
I feel like
I
they
don't I
both
don't,
have
I
the
don't
pressure.
yeah, I don't want to interrupt you guys, but I also don't want to go in deeper because it's gonna be part of our next episode. So,
This is a
but
sneak
yeah,
peek. Sneak peek.
yeah, but that this does jump into the next episode, which is gonna talk about this thing. So, thank you for joining us today. Thank you, BJ. Thank you, Tao, for coming through
Thanks, guys.
today. And yeah, we'll be with you soon. Thank you for tuning in. Subscribe on the YouTube, on the Spotify, on things. Like it, share it. Keep it real.
Mortal Kombat.